Hey guys, Blocky D here. We're in jungle practice and there's Zeus. So today, this is finally that long-awaited tutorial on Zeus I've been promising for like a couple weeks. So, alright. I'll see you in the game once I get my items set up. Alright, and we're in game, right here in the jungle practice. It's a beautiful place. But before we begin, like before I start going over the abilities and stuff, I'll just give you a brief overview of what Zeus is. Zeus is an auto attack mage. Auto attack mages are very strong right now because there's a lot of items to support their abilities, and there's not really any items to directly counter them. You can always buy magical defense, but there's nothing really for magical auto attacks. And I mean, like compared to physical auto attackers, like you could get Nemean Lion Skin, which reflects damage, or you could get Guardian Mail, which slows the attacker. You could just get Wall of Absolution, which gives you tons and tons of defense the more auto attacks are hit by. But there's nothing like that for magic auto attackers. Magic auto attackers. So they're very strong in the current meta right now. In Zeus in particular, he is a very interesting auto attacker. His auto attacks are mainly not for doing damage in the auto attacks themselves, but for setting up his abilities. But alright, I guess that's enough about Zeus. I mean, in general, Zeus has very powerful zoning. He has very high damage. He's got high mobility because of his 2. However, he is very squishy. He requires good position. He does not have a leap or dash, so there's no like, oh shoot, I messed up, boing button. No way to get out of a really sticky situation. Alright, so Zeus's passive is called Overcharge. You probably notice when I'm hitting the minions like this, they're getting these little floaty things around their waist. Those stack up to like the little floaty orbs. You see what I'm talking about? Those are called charges. They stack up to 3. They're applied by your auto attacks and most of your abilities. And they tie into the rest of your kit. But just so you know what those are charges. So when I say charges, I look at them wiggle and squirm to death. Yes. But when I say charges, that's what I'm talking about. But before we move on to his abilities, let's just go over Zeus's attack progression. He does have like a combo. Like his auto attacks go like 1, 2, 1, and yeah, and then like 1 and 3, 2, 1 and 2. Yep, 1, 2, 1 and oh. I always mess up counting it, but his attack progression is not just like 1. It's not just like 1, 1, 1. So take that into account when you're aiming your auto attacks. This in particular, if you cannot reliably land auto attacks at any time in a situation, especially in stressful situations, you will not do well as Zeus if you cannot land auto attacks. You need to be able to do that. That is a required skill for Zeus. But alright, let's move on to his abilities. His third ability, and the most important one, is called Detonate Charge. Basically, depending on the number of charges on an enemy, it does more damage. If there's 1 charge, it just does the base number, which right now is 60. But the more charges they're on, it multiplies. So if they have 3 charges, it would do 180, 60 for each charge. You know, plus the magical power contribution, which I don't know what that is. I don't know the exact percent. I'm sorry. And that is Zeus's most important ability. And additionally, if you get 3 charges on them, which is the max you can get, and activate Detonate Charge, they will be stunned once Detonate Charge hits them. It's a 1-second stun. It's not very long. It's mainly there to help you catch up if they're running away, and possibly, like, oh, that just flat out killed them. But it will stun them for 1 second. That stun is mainly like helping you catch up a little bit. It might be there to help you land that Polynomicon, just land that extra burst of damage. People will buy Magi's Blessing, but it's not. The stun isn't that important. Just know it's there. However, it is nice because you can knock people out of the air. If they have 3 charges on them, even if it's not going to do a lot of damage, you can really interrupt their combos. Like you know, Tank Ares is running towards you with flames and chains, just poo, poo, poo. Get 3 charges, boom, take him out, stun him. He's dead meat. He's just a sitting duck in the water there. Alright, that's Detonate Charge. And the charges, they are applied by all of his other abilities. His 1, his 2, and his ultimate, his 4. But alright, so his next ability, and the second most important one, Detonate Charge is the most important. You'll want to level that first over everything else, except in certain situations, which we'll talk about. His first ability is called Chain Lightning. Basically, you send out just like a little like burst of lightning. It looks like your auto attack, but it's not it does a lot more damage than an auto attack. And what it will do, it will bounce 4 times to different enemies. If there's only 2 enemies, it will bounce between them 3 times. So alright, here it is. Like you'll see, it hit the first guy, then it bounced back to the other guys. That's what it does. And it does damage each time it bounces. However, if there's less than like 5 people, or 4 people, because it bounces 4 times, it will just bounce between those 2. So like, say Ao Kuang and Ymir, or like Loki and Loki's decoy are coming towards you. If you hit one of them, it will bounce back and forth between them until one of them has 3 charges and the other one has 2. And that's assuming you didn't hit any of your auto attacks. It's a very, very useful feature. It makes Zeus very strong 2v1. The one you hit first will be the one with 3 charges, so keep that in mind. Like, say Ymir and Ao Kuang are going for you, you want to hit Ao Kuang, because you want to do more damage to him to take out the damage of that duo. Alright, and even in a 1v1 situation, it's good to hit it's good to just hit them with chain lightning. It does a decent burst of damage. It does like a solid, like 200 damage. It does, you know, more than your auto attacks. That did 430 with Poly. I mean, it's a little useful. It's not a big deal if you don't, but I think I've been playing Zeus for a while. I'm God rank 4 with Zeus. And it's not that. I've only killed people maybe 2 or 3 times with just chain lightning. Though it is a really satisfying feeling when they're just running away and you just use it on the wave, or like you use it on someone close and it just hits them and it's like, oh, so good. And it does bounce a pretty far distance. I'd say it goes at like around, there's no way to indicate how far away 30 feet is. 30 feet is probably the distance from me to that blue thing on the ground over there, right below the edge of the ruler, like the blue circle. This thing. This is probably around 30. Yeah, this is around the distance it bounces, so it does bounce a significant distance. It's pretty useful. Alright, and the main point of this is to get charges on the enemies, so you can hit them with detonate charge. Zeus's wave clear combo is gonna be, you're gonna hit the front leading minion with your 1, and you can do that very safely. Like, you can stay back. His chain lightning does have significant travel time, and significant. It does have, I can't think of a synonym. It does have significant travel time. You can just like do that and back up to get out of the way, and then you'll just use detonate charge to clear the wave. But you're not just gonna want to do just light lightning and then just detonate charge. You're gonna want to do chain lightning. Then you're gonna want to pepper them up with your auto attacks, get more charges. And then you're going to do detonate charge to clear the wave. It's not the best situation, because then detonate charge is on cooldown, and that's your most powerful ability, so then they can just kind of rush you, and you don't have a good defense against them. But it's what you got to do to clear the wave. You can just clear it with auto attacks, but it takes a while. It's going really fast now, because I mean, I have a full build 12 minutes in, and I'm level 14 too, which is a little ridiculous. But alright, so that's his first ability. I don't think I missed anything. Let's check. Alright, that's good, that's good. So alright, moving on to his second ability, and probably the most interesting out of his abilities, and it's something people call out Zeus for being OP on. I personally don't think Zeus is OP, but I'm not going to talk about that here. His 2 is called Aegis Shield. This is his defensive one. This is his defensive ability. Basically, he's going to channel lightning defensively, so I'm going to hit 2, and I'm going to get this shield of lightning around me. While this is around me, I'm immune to slows, I get increased movement speed, and if an enemy hits me with an auto attack, a charge is applied to them. This is very, oh, and there's also a 10% damage reflection for all auto attacks, I think. Let's see, yeah, there's a 10% reflect on the basic attacks, but that's not a lot. Alright, oh, but the immunity to slows, it's pretty big. Like, if you're playing against a Zhongqi or something, or like a Hades, maybe is hitting you with your slow. I can't think of any good slows. Or like Nuwa slow on her ultimate. You can just pop this and keep on trucking. And even Bastard slow, it's like, if God relies on a slow, Zeus is going to be a very hard counter to them. Because at any time, he can just hit 2 and be immune. So alright, I'm going to show you the... Oh. I'm just too good. Alright, we'll find like a... We'll wait for Ra to come back, then use our Aegis again. Hopefully it won't kill him. So I'm going to use Aegis, hit Ra. He's going to ult on me. But... What? Oh well. But you'll see he was hitting me... Come on. Come on. hmm But like you'll see as he um okay, so that's broken. Okay, I'm sorry guys. Apparently that's not working. I don't know why. But I guarantee you it does do that. It does apply a charge. It says that right there. And have a charge applied. It's very useful. It makes Zeus very strong against people that rely on basic attacks, like not ADCs particularly, but people like well, ADCs slightly, but you don't want to get to buy their auto attacks because it's still going to be worse for you than it is for them. But it will help to mitigate that damage. But like assassins, like especially like physical auto attackers that have to get close already, and then you have this thing that's reflecting damage and putting charges on them, it's bad. Because, like, if they hit you 2 times and they hit you and you hit them once, they have 3 charges. Boom, that's a detonate charge, that's a stun, that's a free polynomicon proc and hit. It's brutal. And his too, you know, it also gives protections just in general. The protections are significant. So if you're in trouble, just pop this. While you're running, just pop this, give you extra movement speed. The movement speed, it starts at 10, it does go up to 30. It used to be a flat 25, which I like better because it gave Zeus a lot more, it gave him a stronger early game. But it is really nice having a plus 30% movement speed, immunity to slows at the end of the game, and extra protections. So alright, that's his 2. A very useful move, very effective. Use it when you're in trouble, and even when you're like going out, when you're going to chase a little bit, use it then. Because people may just shy off from hitting you and let you get a kill. And the reflect charges part is biggest. His too, I think it makes him a counter to Chronos, because Chronos just hits you with so many auto attacks, and one auto attack by itself doesn't do that much damage unless it's a polyproc, but he's just hitting you with so many and he's so fast it's hard to do. But with Zeus, I mean, even if you don't land a single auto attack, if you have your Aegis up, he's going to have 3 charges on him in like a second. You can stun him, hit him with a free poly. He'll be squishy, I'll do like 80% damage. And I mean, and then you even might get a kill if you use your ultimate on that. I really think Zeus is a good 1v1 counter to Chronos because of that. I mean, I've beaten Chronoses in Joust, in 1v1 Joust before, and I mean, generally when you get Chronos in 1v1 Joust, you're like, oh my god, I'm never gonna win. He's Chronos. He's just gonna turtle until he gets to level 20, and then he's gonna destroy me. But Zeus is a hard counter to, I believe he is a hard counter to Chronos. Freya, not so much, but yeah. So keep that in mind. If you're against a Chronos as Zeus, you have a definite advantage. Don't be afraid to press it. Alright. And immunity to slows. It's nice, it's nice. Alright, let's move on to Lightning Storm. This is Zeus's ultimate. You don't need line of sight to place it. I don't think... Yeah, you don't need line of sight. And you don't need to be, like... It can go through walls. Like, I could put it right here. So keep that in mind. But basically, Lightning Storm, what it does, I create a cloud. It's a very powerful zoning tool. Zeus summons a thunderstorm, and it'll strike all enemies, every enemy under there, once every second for 5 seconds. So that's 5 hits from the Lightning Storm. Each hit does a significant amount of damage and applies a charge. It's a very powerful zoning tool. Basically, what you want to use this for, you want to use it when they attack your tower, just drop this right around the tower. Or, you know, if they're melee, drop... Oh, shoot. If they're melee, drop it right around the tower. They will not want to stick around and take all that damage. Because once they hit 3 charges in there, they're stunned, and then they're in there and you get another free lightning strike and a free charge on top of that. So that's nice. It's also good for pushing people out of their towers, like if they're turtling at like 30% health, just use it on top of their tower and their wave. They'll probably back up enough for you to sneak a wave in there and hit the tower. Maybe destroy it if it's low on health. It's also a very good chasing tool. Like if they're hiding behind their tower, recalling at like 1% health, just activate your Aegis, rush in there, drop your ult, get out. Generally, just the first lightning strike is probably going to be enough to kill them, and if not that, then just a 1 charge you get hit on. Just a 1 free charge you get from that lightning strike will probably be enough to finish them off. That's a very risky move, and probably not the best use of his ultimate, but I mean in a 1v1, you want to kill him at all costs, and you know, in a 3v3 it might be useful. You know, keep that in mind. It's also a pretty good escape tool, so like if you're getting chased through the jungle, just like pop this at your feet, keep going. They might dash through it or jump through it. They can dash or jump through it without getting all 3 charges on them, maybe 1 charge, which isn't that significant, but, you know. And that's all. This can also be a peel for you. You can also use it defensively. Like say you're against like a Fenrir or something, he just rushes you. And, like he leaps towards you. What you can do is you can just drop it on top of you, and he'll be taking a lot of damage if he stays around to fight you. And generally, that'll let you turn it around, like even if you're at 30% health after that first leap and brutalize in. If you should have Aegis up, so he'll be taking charges from that. You'll hit detonate charge. You'll drop your ult, then you'll hit detonate charge, stunning him, keeping him in there, and just pepper him with auto attacks. It'll probably be a kill for you if he doesn't get out fast enough, or if he's low at health enough. It might not bring him from 100 to 0, but it'll do something. It'll help out a lot. Alright. And I forgot to talk about something. Oh, detonate charge. The very first one. Generally, if you're like, if you're like trading blows with an enemy god, which, if you're a Zeus, and they're not like a god with strong auto attacks, like, if they're a god like, I don't know, like Anubis or something, trade auto attacks with them. It'll turn out well for you, because you'll get like 3 free charges. Because you'll get 3 charges, and it'll be like, oh, I'm not taking that much damage. And then you can just either burn him down with your double strength auto attacks, and then he'll be like, oh crap, this is a bad idea. Then you just detonate charge him and keep going, and it might be a kill. I've had that happen before. Like, it was like me and the noobs were literally just standing there, throwing auto attacks at each other. He's realized, oh, I'm taking a lot of damage. Then once he started to run away, I just detonated charge. That's a completely unrealistic situation. He was just goofing around, but still. But detonate charge. Basically, if there's only one charge on an enemy god and it's not going to kill them, and there's not any charges on minions or something, just don't use detonate charge. It's better to have it on you in case they bum rush you, trying to get a free kill. Because the counter to Zeus, getting close, it can make you panic and like start missing auto attacks, which is bad. You need to hit your auto attacks at all costs. And if you don't have detonate charge, so all those charges actually really mean something, because double auto attack strength, if you're gonna be dead, it doesn't matter. I mean, if they're definitely going to kill you, your double auto attack strength doesn't matter. But 3 charges and then a stun will. So they might wait for you to use detonate charge and go for you. If they do that, they're a very observant enemy. But yeah, so if they have 1 charge, just keep it on you. If they have 2, it might be worth it if you want the poke, especially if they don't have a leap or something, and they're not just gonna be able to really rush at you. Like if Al Kwong rushes you, you can just hit him with 3 auto attacks by the time he gets there, and he's just taking tons and tons of damage. So, all right, so try to get at least 2 before activating detonate charge. That's just what I'm trying to say there. So, all right, that's all his abilities. I think I covered everything. But I don't know. Just talking about detonate charge again, I mean, it's just, I can't stress this enough. It's so important to land your auto attacks. It really is. And the key to succeeding as Zeus, you have to hit your auto attacks, and you have to hit your chain lightning. And that's kind of it. I mean, you can't miss detonate charge, you can't miss Aegis. It's hard to miss or waste your ult, unless you're doing it for something silly like clearing a jungle camp or something. Alright. Alright, let's move on to build. I already have, this is my typical build. I went through all my recent games where I did pretty well as Zeus, and just, synthesized it. And here's what I got. I always get Boots of Focus. You're going to want CDR as Zeus, because your damage, it does come partially from your auto attacks, but it comes more from your abilities. Even your auto attacks, they're powerful in themselves, but they're more powerful when you're using them to ramp up that detonate charge. They really are. So I always get Boots of Focus. Shoes of Focus, not Boots of Focus. Shoes. I generally never get Shoes of Magi. There's not really ever a situation when I'm like, man, I just wish I had that 15 extra penetration. And with Zeus, if you're getting Demonic Grip, which you probably should, you don't really need the pen for Magi. So I would definitely go Focus over Magi in Zeus's case. And you're probably pretty much always going to start out with Boots. Unless you're in a 1v1 joust, then you're probably going to want to get Doom Orb. Doom Orb, it's the magical snowballing item. It's the magical version of Heartseeker, basically. It's high risk, high reward. If you buy it and you can just hold out and farm it till like 40, you'll have way more power than your opponent if they don't have the Heartseeker. If they don't have Heartseeker or Doom Orb, and you do, and you farm it up, you're going to have a lot more power than them. However, the catch is, and why doesn't everyone just buy it in all cases, is once you die, the stacks are halved on death. So if you're rocking at 15 like you're steamrolling though, But then they just like, you're pushing their tower, they gank you, they kill you, you're gonna lose a lot of power, and you're gonna notice it. You're going to feel that lack of power. But in 1v1 Joust, you'll get stacks up back pretty quickly, so unless you're dying a lot, generally I'll always go Doom Orb in 1v1. It's a pretty strong snowballing item. Zeus is already a hyper carry, I guess. I guess that's what you call it. I gotta breathe, hold on. I'm not used to talking so much without taking a breath. Zeus is also a hyper carry. Basically, what that means is if he doesn't get shut down early game, if you aren't killing him early game, he's going to get really strong just by the nature of his design. And Doom Orb amplifies and aggravates that tendency. So if you're 1v1 against Zeus, he gets Doom Orb and you're not killing him, you got a wild ride ahead of you, friend. You do. You're going to have a tough time shutting him down. Alright, enough about Doom Orb. That's not an item you'll buy a lot unless you do 1v1. But second item for Zeus is Demonic Grip. The most important stats for Zeus are going to be magical power and attack speed to better land your charges, to better land your auto attack so you get charges, and Demonic Grip gives you all of those. And it also gives you, for each auto attack you hit on them, you'll also get extra pin. You'll get 15 flat pin, and then their magical protection will be reduced by an extra 21%. That's at 3 stacks. It's 7% each stack and 5 for each stack. So it's a pretty useful item. It's very good. I really can't think of a situation where you want to buy it. It lets you do more damage to tanks. It lets detonate charge hit like a truck. Like if you get 3 auto attacks on them and they have like reduced defense by a pretty significant margin, and then you hit them with detonate charge, it's gonna be pretty nasty. They're not gonna be having a good time at all. And it is pretty cheap. It's only, how much is it? It's only $22.80, so it's not a bad price for a second item. Fairly affordable. You'll probably be able to pick this up. And attack speed really is important on Zeus. Like, say I'm gonna sell this, you're gonna notice the difference. Like, 2, 1, and 3. Okay, like that's it there. Now I'm gonna sell it. It's gonna be duh, 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 duh. I feel like it's a lot slower. To be fair, I am at level 20. At level 1, Zeus' attack is a lot slower. I believe he does passively gain attack speed. So, alright. That's Demonic Grip. It's basically pin, magical power, and attack speed. Everything Zeus wants in a nutshell. No reason not to buy it. Third item is Polynomicon. This item did get nerfed recently, and I was a little on the fence about its inclusion, but I believe it still deserves a place. Basically, once you do it, Polynomicon, once you use an ability, you get the Polynomicon buff, and your next basic attack will deal 100% of your magical power. So like, I use Aegis, and my next basic attack is going to deal like, what is it? 538 plus 188. It's gonna deal like 700 damage, just that one auto attack. It is a pretty hefty damage buff. If you're doing 1v1 against somebody, it's gonna help out a lot. It makes for some great poke, because they don't expect it. It's like detonate charge. Like, you'll be hitting them with auto attacks and they'll have 3 charges, and they're like, oh, I didn't take that much damage from that trade, and then boom! Detonate charge, and, they're dead. Great stuff, great stuff. You will never have a more satisfying feeling than that, like the Knave backflipping with 3 charges on there at 10% off, and then, like, you see you're walking back to the base, and you're just, watching, then boom, kill. Ah, it's a great feeling. That's why I like Zeus. What was I talking about? Polynomicon. Alright, it only applies once every 4 seconds. It used to be once every 2 seconds. But it is pretty hefty. It gives you mana, which Zeus needs. Zeus is pretty mana hungry early on. I would recommend picking up 1 mana potion, 1 health potion at the beginning, along with tier 2 boots. And we'll go over good actives for Zeus after the actual build for him. So Polynomicon, it's just going to give you a lot of extra basic attack damage if you can hit it. If you're not really good at hitting basic attacks, maybe go for a different item. Maybe go for, like, I don't know. Loser. You're the loser, Scarlet Gears. Go away. No one likes you. If you're not good at hitting auto attacks like that, Telkine's Ring is a very viable item on Zeus. It's not something I like, but basically it gives you a free extra 40 magical power to your basic attacks. It's very cheap, and it does give you attack speed. It's, like I said, it's kind of like Demonic Grip. If you want to replace Demonic Grip with Telkine's Ring, you definitely can. It's just not something I personally do, but it's extremely viable. And it's going to make your basic attacks deal a lot more damage. You'll probably be able to clear the wave with just your auto attacks. So that's viable. You can replace either of these with Tokini's Ring and still do fairly good, but Tokini's Ring, if you do get it, be sure to sell it late game. Like once you hit level 20 and your build is complete, sell this item, get something better. Like get Polynomicon or get Demonic Grip instead, because it's strong early game, but it falls off pretty hard late game. Alright, and then next item after Polynomicon is Rada Dehudi. This item speaks for itself. It's like 3,500 gold, like 3,375 gold or something. But it's going to give you so much magical power. Like, these are going to give you like, what, 75, 60, 50. These are going to give you like 200 magical power altogether. Once you finish off this item, you'll have like 450 magical power from that. It is hefty. And I tell you, if you get your Doomor fully farmed, and then you get this, oh, you're going to be dealing so much damage. It's going to be insane. You're just, wow. Wow. I don't even know how to describe it. I feel bad when that happens to my opponents, because there's just no way they can outdamage me. They can outthink me, they can outstrategize me. They can't outdamage me when they're doing that. Alright, so Focus Voidstone. This is more of an early game item, but late game when the other enemies are getting stronger and you're still pretty darn squishy, it's nice to pick up some defense. It's also just some magical pen. The difference between Focus and regular Voidstone, it gives extra 15 protection to all of your allies in the area, basically is what it's doing. And Focus Voidstone just gives you personally 25, but no one else gets it. So, you know, kind of goes either way. I'm not, yeah. I generally get regular Voidstone, but if you're the only magical dealer on your team, like a 3v3, you should get Focused. There's no reason for you to get regular if there's no one else dealing magical damage, because it's not going to be helping anyone but you. And this helps you more, but this helps your team more. But if this isn't going to help your team because they're not dealing magical damage, get that. Alright, simple enough. And then my last item that I sometimes get is Gem of Binding. Basically what this does is, when an enemy is hit by your auto attacks, they're slowed. Does it stack? It does not stack. They move 25% slower. Not a lot. It's good though. It really helps you land those auto attacks, so if you're having trouble doing that, Gem of Binding can help. And it's a good late game item. Slows are very important. It's going to help your team out a lot if while you're hitting them, they're also moving slower, because that makes it easier for your teammates to hit everything. And this also gives you more health and more mana. Make you a little tankier, it's not going to make you tankier, it's going to make you a little more defensible late game. Instead of just like, you're sitting in the back, doing tons of damage, and then, Loki one-shots you with Assassinate. You're not going to be doing anyone good. That extra 250 health might help you. Alright, and so that's just like the regular standard build. In 1v1, I would start out with Vampiric Shroud, and then go with this build, I would just go with this build, depending on who you're fighting. If you're not fighting a magical enemy, don't get Voidstone. It's good because it gives you magical power. Not a lot, but it also gives you magical protection, which is good. If you're not fighting a magical enemy, don't get it though. But 1v1, I would give Vampiric Shroud. It's going to give you a lot of sustain. It'll give you some magical power. It'll give you a good chunk of health, a good chunk of MP5, but the real kick is the passive. When you kill an enemy, like when you last hit a minion or something, you're going to get 10 health and mana. That's going to give you a lot of sustain, because as Zeus, you're going to be last hitting a lot, you're going to be using auto attacks a lot, and your detonate charge is probably going to get the last hit. And that'll give you 10 health and mana if detonate charge do it. Detonate charge does it. So, alright. Just to show you what last hitting is, it's basically getting the last hit. Like if a minion is at 10% health and sitting in the back, you're just going to hit that instead of working on the front minion. If you're working on one minion, and your minions are working on another front minion, and once it gets low health, you're just going to want to take the kill from your minions. So like right here, I'm going to last hit that guy, I'm going to last hit that guy, and I didn't get that guy, but at last hitting, it does give you a bonus, like you get a gold bonus and you get an experience bonus from last hitting. It's not a lot, but if you do it consistently, it can give you a little edge over your opponents. It's not as important as in SMITE as it is in League of Legends, but alright. So, 1v1, Vampiric Shroud, yeah, also all this. Get out of here. Get out of here. Don't want you. So I'll go Vampiric Shroud into the boots. The only exception is if I feel like I'm doing pretty well, I'll go Doom Orb after boots. But if I'm doing really well at the beginning, I'll go Doom Orb straight off. I'll still have the first tier boots because you have enough money. This will probably be my beginning. My beginning of 1v1 will be this. I'll have Mana Potion, Health Potion, Vampiric Shroud, and boots. I generally don't get blue. I'd rather just go straight to lane, but alright. And then if I do really well, like if I kill them 2 times before going back to base, I'll get Doom Orb and just snowball, end it quicker, easier for everybody that way. And then I'll just go into the regular build. Obviously, depending on situations, there really is no one build I can just give you that will work every time because every situation is different. It's different, but alright. Items I didn't mention for Zeus that are pretty good, or at least very interesting on him, are these. The standard build I gave you earlier, that was kind of like the Glass Cannon Mage build, which works in Conquest. It doesn't really work in any other game mode. And even in Conquest, you might want to be looking at Breastplate of Valor. Valor. Okay, that cool. Shut up, Tyler. Don't want you. But Breastplate of Valor, it gives you a lot of mana, a lot of physical protection, and 25% CDR. And if you got Boots of Focus, like you should, you will have full 40% CDR, a lot of physical protection, a lot of mana, a lot of CDR. It's going to help you out a lot if you can get this. It's very nice to be able to have Lightning Storm like once every 50 or so seconds. It really is. I mean, it's so good, sometimes people buy when there's not even physical enemies on the team just because they want the mana and CDR. That's just how good those stats are. Another item that is good on Zeus, let's see, Hasten Fatalis. Now, what this item does is, like, see, I'm moving now, but now I'm auto-attacking, so I'm moving slower. What Hasten Fatalis does, like, I'm doing this. Oh, wait, never mind. What Hasten Fatalis does, when you hit an enemy with, like, I'm doing this, I'm going slow. Well, once I hit that harpy with this auto attack, shoom, boom, boom, yeah. That's what Hasten Fatalis does. This is pretty good on Zeus. It's very interesting, and the only reason I didn't recommend it in the standard build is that it sacrifices a lot of damage. It gives you a lot of attack speed, gives you a lot of movement speed, and while you're attacking, it gives you so much slipperiness and so much mobility, it is insane. I recommend it in Arena, because in Arena, you need to buy a couple of defensive items, because you're not going to carry anyone if you're dead, You're not going to be able to do any damage if you're dead. And what this is going to do, this doesn't give you outright defense, but it's going to make you so slippery and be able to just walk in faster, walk out faster, and just dart around, being essentially impossible to hit. And honestly, this is just a fun item to buy. Like, if you feel like you've got the game in the bag, or if you just want to have fun, try out Hasten Fatalis, because you can really just pew, 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 pew. Because the attack speed is just so high from what it gives you. And I mean, I am doing a lot less damage because I sold all the other items, but man, it is a fun item. So, alright, what else do I have down here? Volley, Tahuti, Situational. Alright, that's pretty much all I got. I mean, Ethereal Staff is good, or, I didn't mention a lot of items. I guess I'll just go over them individually. A Divine Ruin, this is the healing reduction item. If you're fighting someone like Aphrodite or even Shanga, you're going to want to get this, especially Aphrodite. If you're, going against Aphrodite in a 1v1 as Zeus, and you get Divine Ruin, or Divine Wrath is the one I normally get. It applies the healing debuff on basic attacks. It's a huge, huge difference, and you're just going to be absolutely destroying Aphrodite after you get this. Not that Aphrodite is a bad character, but you will just be destroying her after this. So, I guess this is going to be the niche item section. Just, you're fighting a healer. They're just, no matter what they do, they just heal up. Get Divine Wrath, get Divine Ruin, it'll help out. And let's say you really want to kill their tower. Like, the enemy is turtling under their tower. And, I mean, you have the upper hand because you're pushing them straight into their tower. But let's say you really want to kill the tower, and they're teleporting back every time, so you don't have a large window of opportunity. You're going to want to get an Obsidian Shard. It is a very cheap item. It's only $20.50 for top for the 3rd tier, and that's 70 magic power and 33% magical penetration. Now, what's that going to do? It's going to ignore a third of their defenses. It's going to ignore a third of their protections. In towers, this item is meant to help you kill structures like phoenixes, towers, minotaurs, stuff like that. And because towers just have so large defense, like towers, I think have like anywhere from, like, I don't remember the exact number. It's somewhere around 400 to 600. So if you buy this, you're ignoring like 200 of those protections. You're dealing 200 more damage than you would without it. It's pretty insane. And if you combine this with Polynomicon, your Polynomicon can take out half of a tower's health. It's really ridiculous. And this will help you take down their Minotaur too. It's just anything with really high defenses. And if they have like a tank who's like he just went like said screw it, built 300 magical protection, this is gonna hurt him a lot. And if you combine this with demonic grip, you're gonna be ignoring so much defense. You're gonna be melting tanks. You're gonna be melting tanks. Alright, Spirit of the Magus, not something I really recommend on Zeus. I mean, just go demonic grip instead. Like if you're doing a Anubis, get Spirit of the Magus, but you know, Spirit of the Magus, it's a penetration item for ability focused mages. Zeus is auto attack focus. Just ignore that. Ignore that. Now Chronos is spend it. Generally, you don't get it unless I don't. I'm not gonna talk about it. Not gonna talk about it. Bancroft's Down though, very interesting item. Basically, what it does, as you lose health, you gain magical power. This is the comeback item. Like, if you're getting behind and you're like, oh crap, I'm getting behind, he's just going to snowball, he's going to keep snowballing and dominate me, you'll buy Bancroft's Down. And it's going to give you a little more sustain with the magical lifesteal. But with the 100 magical power, which is nothing to sneeze at, and the extra magical power from losing health, which, oh, it's crazy, it's crazy. You're going to get a lot of magical power from this, like, it's good stuff. It's like, you know, and it's, if you're having those situations too, this will help you come back. It'll help you stand evenly on them, with them if they're more farmed than you. But if you're having that situation where like he's getting away with like 1% health, or like you're both killing each other and like he gets away with 1% health, this item will fix that. And even like if you're ahead, but you're like, okay, they're coming back a little, Bancroft's Town will also keep them from coming back, because as you lose health, you'll get stronger. So let's say they're coming back and they just decide to go ham and get you and like dive through the whole enemy team, dive through all of your allies to get you, and you're like, they bring you down to 30% health. You're going to be dealing some really hefty damage, because then you'll be getting 170 magical power if you're missing 70% of your health, and it'll probably kill them. It'll keep them. If they're starting to come back, this can negate that. If you need to come forward, you know, if you need to come back, this will help you do that. It's a pretty good item overall. I get it. I get it fairly often. Wall of Absolution. This is a defense item. Like, in Arena, you should get a couple of defense items no matter what role you are. I mean, especially if you're tank, but even mages and carries need some defense, because otherwise you'll just get killed too quickly to do anything. Wall of Absolution, you know how I mentioned earlier that auto attack mages have no counters in terms of items? Well, physicals do, and this is one of them. Wall of Absolution. Basically, as they auto attack, you're going to get more defense, up to like 105, which is really ridiculous. This also gives you a pretty hefty chunk of MP5 magical power. It's a pretty niche item. I generally get it on tanks more than I do get it on Zeus, but it can help. Like, if someone's really just building attack speed and not power, this will really shut them down, but almost no one does that. Alright, went over Hokune's ring earlier. I guess I will talk about Kronos' pendant. I mean, generally, don't get it. It's a pretty bad item. The only good thing about it is the CDR, which is pretty strong on Zeus, but there's better options. I almost want to say, even if they have one physical person on their team, and you're torn between Blessed of Valor and Kronos' pendant for the CDR, get Valor. It's just better. This item's not that good. Alright, we're done with Gem of Isolation. Book of Thoth. You're not going to need this. Don't worry about it. Soul Reaver. Honestly, only time I saw people using this was when it first came out. It's basically just like it's kind of like a chin size, not chin size, chin's blades counterpart for mages, but they don't really need it. It kind of got a lot lost in translation. Just reading the passive. When you hit a god with your ability, they're doing 15% of their health and magical damage. Yeah, I mean, and the thing is, it only procs once every 60 seconds, so that's pretty lame, you know. All right, Orlock Sash. This is like a classic stacking item. It's been around a long, long time. Basically, when you kill a minion or god, you oh no, just minions. Oh, yeah, 5 stacks for a god kill, 1 for a minion kill. You get health and zero point 0.6 magical power, and you get 100 stacks. However, unlike Doom Orb, whose stacks are halved on death, these stacks stay on death. You don't have to worry about them going away once you die. And 1v1, if you get this, or just if you're solo laning a Zeus, which is technically viable, this will help you out. This will make you very tanky, very strong. Alright. I mean, Zeus is best in the duo lane. He can mid lane. Drybear plays a very fearsome mid Zeus. If you're looking for some good Zeus good Zeus gameplay, I have some in my, like in my video collection. But Drybear does have some really good stuff. He's better at Zeus than me, so check him out. Check him out. He's good at Zeus. And this item is very good. It's very good. It's pretty expensive for a stacking item, and it takes a long time. If you're gonna get Warlock Sash, you have to get it as your second or third item, or else it's gonna be too late, and you are not gonna be getting your money's worth out of the item. However, it is very effective. The extra health is very effective when coupled with Ethereal Staff, which this gives you a ton of health, 600 health. I think it's flat out the highest base health in the game just from buying an item. It's fairly expensive too, 28.50, and it doesn't give you that much magical power base, or it gives you a good chunk of mana base, but not that much. But the passive, 2% of your maximum health is converted to magical power. When you combine that with Warlock Sash, or even just by itself, it's easily going to give you like an extra 60 magical power, extra 70, and it's pretty good. Like the passive, this is going to be like a plus 100 magical power item in general. And with Warlock Sash, it's probably going to be like plus 120. And you're going to have a lot of tankiness from it and a lot of sustain. This is a pretty underrated item. So if you're having trouble staying alive, buy Ethereal Staff. You'll notice the difference. And alright, I think that's everything I have to say about builds. I would have liked to go over about Zeus more in general, like just what game modes he's good in, what to do in each game mode. So I guess I'll do that. Probably should have put this at the beginning. And after this, I'll be done. So yes, finally done. If you stayed to this point in the video, that is insane. Thank you so much. Listening to 50 minutes of me droning and stuttering on about Zeus. Love you guys. But yeah. In Conquest, Zeus is fairly strong. He's kind of cited as like the strongest god in the game right now. Whatever, but. In Conquest, you can solo lane, you can jungle, you can duo, or you can mid. He can play any role with a pretty high amount of success. Zeus has some pretty strong wave clear once he gets going. Because like his chain lightning is detonate charge, you can clear camps pretty fast. But I've never played Zeus jungle myself. I don't really jungle. I'm not that good at it. I should learn how to do that, but I don't. I just don't. Yeah. So Zeus jungle pretty viable if you're a good jungler overall, like just in basic terms of jungler skill. I would go for it. But if you're new to jungling, I wouldn't try Zeus jungle because it's very unorthodox. Zeus mid and Zeus solo, very viable. Zeus is very viable in 1v1 joust, and so he's more viable in solo and mid. Of course, 1v1 joust is different than Conquest, because it's a much shorter supply line. No risk of ganks, but he has fairly strong wave clear, but he does have unprecedented poke, not unprecedented, and not really unmatched poke. He's got pretty strong poke, but solo lane is good for him, and mid lane is good for him, because that's where Zeus can just get, he'll get farmed pretty hard, and then you're not really gonna have to worry about anything. Well, like, as I said, Zeus is a hyper carry, so if he gets farmed, like in solo or mid, he's going to be a force to be reckoned with. He can just roam around, gank fairly hard. He's a pretty good ganker. He can initiate with Aegis, dash up there pretty fast, place Lightning Storm down, maybe zone him towards the tower. In 1v1, the lane is actually narrow enough that you can place Lightning Storm and box him in towards your tower. So yeah, Zeus is fairly good in Conquest. He's good in Duo. In Duo, he's just gonna act like a magical ADC, which is pretty good. You'll want to pair him with a tank that has pretty good disruption to keep Zeus safe. Because Zeus is squishy and he doesn't have a hard escape. He doesn't have like a leap or a dash. I mean, he has this, but I mean, look, he's too short. He can't go over the wall. He's trying. He's trying. But alright. And Domination, if you guys play Domination, good for you. It's a fun game mode, but Zeus is very strong because he can just set his ult on a Sand Guardian, just go ham with the Demonic Grip with the Polynomicon, and get the Sand Guardian pretty quick. And then he can defend it very well with Lightning Storm. And Zeus is good at zoning because Zeus is very good at zoning because no one wants to hit him with his. No one wants to get hit by his auto attacks. No one wants to get that close. So he's good at that too because Domination is pretty much all about zoning. All about positioning, and you need a lot of teamwork in Dom, though. In Arena, Zeus is pretty good in Arena. He's probably banned pretty often in League Arena. I don't know. I haven't played League Arena. I meant to get into League Arena, but I, played like 3 matches once, and I did okay, but then I just stopped. His ult is hard to use because the biggest... Oh, shoot, I never talked about actives. His ult is hard to use in Arena because people would just walk out of it. Counter to that, you'll probably want, like, Weakening Curse or something. It's Weakening Curse, I guess, yeah, I'm sorry, I forgot to talk about actives. I'll put some annotations in the video. Weakening Curse and Enfeebling Curse, they're pretty good on Zeus because, they're always good for chasing, but if you use Weakening Curse, then you can have your ultimate get a lot more hits on them, and that's something you want to do. So, on Zeus, I generally get Weakening Curse, but if I'm going offensive, but Zeus is generally so squishy. Oh, sorry about that. Sorry about that, headphone user. That probably just destroyed your eardrums. My apologies. But Zeus is so squishy. I generally buy defensive actives like Aegis Amulet, Purification Beads. Invincibility is very useful. I generally go regular Aegis Amulet. Aegis Pendant is cool. If they don't have stuns or, if they don't really have crowd control, get Aegis Pendant. But if they do, get Aegis Amulet. And Purification Beads, complete immunity to CC every 5 seconds and a instant flat 5 seconds off all your cooldowns is very valuable. Never a situation where you wouldn't want that. Purification Beads are just so good. So these are generally the ones that get, actives. Blink is pretty good on Zeus because, Zeus he does technically have high mobility, has high movement speed, and immunity to slows, but Blink is really going to capitalize on that, and it's basically like you have a leap that can use once every 45 seconds, which is useful. Like if you're running away and they're chasing you, but they're not hitting you because they're trying to catch up and all their abilities on cooldown, Blink will let you get out because you only have to be out of combat for 3 seconds to do it, which is nice. It's pretty strong on Zeus. Hand of the Gods, that's just, it's pretty good on Zeus. It helps him clear waves faster, but you generally don't want to go out that far to clear the wave because, they may hit you with something nasty and kill you. Just be careful with it. Once you get farmed, you're not going to need Hand of the Gods, so I'd go into Fist of the Gods. If you go Blink/Fist of the Gods combo, it's it's going to be really cheap because you could just blink up there, stun them, hit them with everything you got, drop a Lightning Storm on them, crazy stuff like that. Meditate. You don't need Meditate for Zeus. You don't. Just buy mana potions at the beginning and you'll be peachy fine. Other than that, generally when I say like okay, let's talk about actives for Zeus, I just end up going over all the actives and how they relate to Zeus, which makes these tutorials incredibly long, but oh well. Teleport to towers. This item is very strong. Huge map mobility. It's especially strong in Conquest, not so much in any other game mode. Well, in Domination, if you go Eye of Providence and teleport to towers, that just might be a win. But generally, I don't know, Protected Recall, you only use that as kind of like a troll item, almost. It's good, it's not bad by any means, but I use that as a counter to Odin. Like, you get trapped in this cage, you activate Protected Recall. Basically, Protected Recall, you recall faster. Tyler, go away. I say Tyler, go away because he's messaging me loser because I'm making a tutorial. Oh, well, shut up. This is what brings people to my channel. Protected Recall. it's just a counter to Odin. Like, you get trapped in Odin's ult, you just use that, and you'll generally be back at base before he can kill you. It's okay in arena. Like, say as Zeus, you just went out too far in arena. This will help you make up for it, because as they attack you, they're probably not going to be able to kill you in not even, in like 3 seconds that you're back in base. And this is uninterruptible. The other version, shielded teleport, you can teleport to any tower or ward without damage interruption while being unable to move. But if they stun you, or if they knock you up, it will interrupt it. I don't believe it goes on cooldown, but it is interrupted. But like, if you're in a bad situation and they're not going to stun you, you can't just teleport out of it. I did that a couple times as Artemis in a recent Conquest game. And this is just very strong in Conquest. Because, like, if you're pushing an... sorry about that. Because if you're pushing another lane, like, you can go, you can leave your lane, go push another lane, and then when they push it back to your tower and they're, like, trying to take it, you can just teleport back and push them out. A very strong item overall, but the two ones I would get on Zeus are, Weakening Curse and Aegis Amulet Pendant. Eye of Providence, this is just words. I mean, guys, if you're on Conquest and you're not buying wards, what are you doing in Conquest? I mean, I really don't know. Wards are just, they're so good. There's no reason not to get them. Alright, I pretty much went over everything, Shard and Meditate, those are just assault actives. You only get those in assault, but no need to discuss that here. Girdle of Might, do Girdle of Support, Girdle of Inner Power. Whatever. I don't really get those. They basically just give you, Girdle of Inner Power gives you personally a damage buff. It gives you extra penetration, extra physical and magical power. Pretty strong stuff. It's like having an extra damage buff, but alright. I think I'm done here. I think I discussed literally everything I possibly could. I mean, I discussed Zeus and like all the game modes. Well, I discussed them in Conquest and Arena and Domination. Oh, well, in Arena, Zeus is pretty good. Pretty strong. Good at clearing waves, good at getting last hits at those running away enemies, but I think my throat is done. I have a sore throat, which is why I've been coughing, and I've been talking for like an hour straight, so man. Okay, I'm done. I'm done, guys. But it's a tradition that I kill the fire giant after one of these tutorials. Hey, he looks different, so alright. Just go ham. Just go for it. We're gonna do it. We're gonna do it. Alright. Alright. Pop that health potion. There we go. Now we got it made. There we go. Got the fire giant. Did we? Or did he kill himself? I don't know. Anyway, we're sitting on his chair now, but... Alright, thank you guys for so much for watching. If you made it through this hour-long slog of coughs and stutters, thank you so much. If you enjoyed, I do make these fairly often, so subscribe, then you'll be able to see everything, including my stupid daily Let's Plays of SMITE, but... Alright, thank you guys for watching, I'm Blocky T, and I'll see you again next time. Bye-bye!